So today we are going to start about dynamic indexing in Python. And what dynamic indexing means is basically when you change the element inside the list, and so the indexing also changes automatically. So you don't need to take care of the indexing and it will happen automatically. So that is why we call it dynamic indexing. Now before coming to dynamic indexing, what we're going to look at is this. Now as you can see, I have written a sentence, and this sentence tells me that I am using string, right? Now this is the name of the variable, my sentence, and how I come to know that this is particularly a string is because of the double quotes, right? So I have double quotes in the starting, I have double quotes in the end, so that means that we are dealing with a string. So when we're talking about the string, the first question that arises is how strings looks in the memory, look in the memory. That means Python जो है वो string को कैसे read करता है, कैसे उसके साथ deal करता है, right? So to understand that, to understand how the Python sees at the memory, I'm going to give you two options. And so the first is this one as a one big object, right? So if there is if my sentence is inside one big object, that means कि वहाँ पे indexing नहीं होगी, because since everything is just one, so we don't need an index. So even if you give it an index, it will be 0. Right? So does Python sees at it as a one big object, or the next option is this, or Python breaks every word into single character and then treats it accordingly. So now we need to make sure, we need to see that how the Python treats it, right? Python इसको कैसे देखता है. So let's try to check and we will see how the Python sees it. Now, so to check it, what I'm going to do is I'll switch to IDLE first, and I'm going to create a file this time, and let me save it. String 1. So now I'm going to write my sentence is equals to you are great. That's it. Now this is my sentence is, right? ये मेरी string value, this is my string value, and now I need to check whether the Python will treat this as a one big object like this, or it is going to break every word into the characters that I have used, and it is going to give it an index. So we will need to see whether the Python will see string as individual characters as objects, or it will go like this, just one big object. Okay, so for that what we need to do, we need to check the length. So according to our diagram, according to our concept, if you give index to each words including the apostrophe and including the space, right, including the space, then you will have indexing till 12. So that means total number of elements are 13, because the indexing will start from 0 but the count will always start from 1. So let's see. First of all, let me print it just to confirm that we are doing it absolutely right. Okay, so let's run it, and you are great. So we are getting the sentence absolutely fine. Now let's check the length. So print length of my sentence. So by using the length function, we can actually see that how the Python is treating our string, and boom, what you see over here is 13. That means instead of having one big object as a string, having one big object as a string, now अगर ये एक object होता, then we would be having just one, length would be 1, but instead what Python does is Python automatically breaks every character and make it treat it as a separate objects, right? So you have indexing. So we need to be sure that whether Python give indexing to string or not. Like in the case of list, it does the indexing, but does Python do the indexing in terms of string value के लिए क्या index number Python allot करता है? So we need to check it. Now checking this thing, indexing, is pretty easy. How? As our concept says that at index number 0 the U is placed, and at index number 12 exclamation is placed, index number 11 says T, index number 10 says A. So what we're going to do, we are going to just print it according to the index number. तो अगर index number के according value print हो गए, that means index number is present. So let's try to confirm that. So I'll write print, then I will write my sentence, then the way I used in list, I will use the same in string. I will check whether it throws the correct output or not. So let's try to run it, and you see why. Now this is index number 0, so when you ask for index number 0, it gives you y. So this is working absolutely fine. Let's ask for the last exclamation, and according to our diagram the exclamation is present at the index number 12. So let's try to do it. So instead of 0, pass 12 this time, and let's see what happens. And exclamation is getting printed. And next we are going to check one more string. Let's try to print the E first, 5th, index number 5th. So let's try to run it, and E is getting printed. Now what I'm going to print is white space 6. I want to see whether I will get error or it will print a blank space as well. So 6, and see this is the white space that is being getting printed. You cannot see it, but yeah, the cursor is actually highlighting it. See this, the cursor highlights the white space, right? So we are able to print the white space as well, the blank space. So that means whatever you print, whatever you value give to the string, for example, it could be apostrophe, it could be white space, it could be exclamation, so everything will be treated individually, right? ये सबको break कर देगा और individual object में create कर देगा. Now the next question that arises is this, whether it has negative index as well, just like a list. क्या इसमें negative indexing भी होता है? So we need to see whether it has negative index or not. So how are you going to do it? It is very easy. This time we are going to ask for the negative value, and if we get the negative value, that means we are getting the negative index as well, right? So let's start it. So instead of asking for the positive integer, this time we are going to ask for the negative integer. So let's check, and -1. Now according to our diagram, we know that negative integer starts from the last object and it travels backwards, so -1, -2, -3. So at -1 we should be getting exclamation, and at -13 we should be getting y, and at -7 we should be getting this space as well. So let's try to see whether our concept is working fine and if the string has negative indexing or not. So let's try to print it, and boom, we are getting the exclamation. That means the string, just like list, string also have negative indexing. So let's try to print some more characters. For example, y is at -13, so let's try to print it. So -13 and you are great, and we are getting y. So things are working pretty fine. and let's try to print the white space this time with the minus indexing. So the minus indexing says that white space is present at -7. So let's try to print white space with the help of -7 and saving it and then running it, and see the white space is also getting printed over the whiteboard, over the white screen. So actually you cannot see the white space, but the cursor is actually highlighting it. See this, the cursor is able to highlight it because cursor knows the difference between the background and the white space, although our eyes cannot see it properly, but yeah, it is there, right? So yes, the answer is yes. So you get the positive indexing in the terms of string as well as negative indexing, right? So the answer will be yes, we have negative indexing as well, right? So are there negative indexing as well? So in the test or in the interview, if someone asks you that whether the string has negative indexing or not, and the answer should be yes, just like a list, string also has negative indexing. So this is you, this bulb is basically representing you, and here's a thought. It should be अभी तक आपके दिमाग में आ चुका होगा. Just go through it. What it says, hey, I found that list and string are so same, right? You think that list and string are so same, but there is a vast difference. A string is like a list without square bracket. You must be thinking like this कि अरे ये तो बिल्कुल list की तरह है string, और बस square bracket नहीं है इसमें, बाकी सब तो same to same चल रहा है. You getting the same objects and you are getting the indexing as well, and you are fetching the value using the index number as well. But I will answer it. Now before answering this thing, whether string and list are same or not, except the square bracket part, let's come to this one. Let's try to access the large or non-existing index. Non-existing index means अगर आपका इंडेक्स 12 तक जा रहा है, आप 13 एक्सेस करो, 14 एक्सेस करो, 15 एक्सेस करो. सो देन वी कैन सी वेदर व्हाट काइंड ऑफ स्मार्टनेस डज पाइथन डू. क्या पाइथन उससे डील कर पाएगा आउट ऑफ इंडेक्स, जो जहाँ जावा फेल हो जाता है आउट ऑफ बाउंड. सो हम लोग यहाँ पे देखेंगे कि वेदर पाइथन इज एबल टू डील विद इट ऑटोमेटिकली और नॉट. सो अकॉर्डिंग टू आवर डायग्राम वी नो दैट आवर इंडेक्सिंग गोज टिल 12, not more than 12, right? It goes till 12. So what I will try to do is I will try to print 13. So let's try to print 13 and let's see what happens. So and you get the error. What is the error? String index out of range. That means आपकी range से बाहर है index, right? So positive में तो ये error मिलता है. Let's try to go with 100. You're going to get the same error because our indexing goes till 12. So see this again, the same error. My sentence 100 is the error. It says clearly line 4 पे error है. So line 4 is this line 4, and you're getting the error. Okay, yes, so see the line 4, you're getting the error at line 4, right? So let's try to let's try to access index below -13. Now below -13 is -14, but -14 doesn't exist. So let's try to run it. -14. Let's see what happens. And again the same kind of error that your string index is out of range. So you need to be very sure, very precise that what index you're trying to access, because if you're trying to access index that is not present, then in that particular case you're going to get the error. So let's try to do -100. Of course you're going to get error, but then let's check, and again the same thing, you get the error, right? So that means you need to be precise what kind of index you're going to access, and indexing is done in this manner, right? आप object को separate कर लो, and index also white space occupies an index, so don't forget the white space. So the answer is this. you get the error. Trying to access a large or non-existing index, you get the error, and the error is index out of range. So whenever in your program you get this kind of error, index out of range, that means you are trying to access the index that is not present, that is not existing in your program. So बहुत से लोगों के पे ऐसा error आता है, but you don't need to worry about it, because once you know the concept, once you know the error, you can easily sort it out, right? And so let's try to move forward. Now this is something interesting and very important. Are strings mutable or immutable? Mutable means, can you really change a string once you have already created it? That means, can you change a value inside a string? So how are you going to confirm, how are you going to check it whether you're able to change the value or not? So this is pretty easy. What you do, you select any index number, then you try to change the value at particular index. So how are you going to do it? Just let me show you. And which example should we take, easy one or the tough one? So let's try to do with the example that we have already got. So this is the case, you are great. So we have created the string in this particular line. हम लोग का जो string value है, this is here. Now instead of so I'm going to remove this for a moment. Okay, just let it be. And what I can do, I can create a new file, string2. So we have a new file now. So as you can see that we have a sentence called "you are great." Now I want to replace this exclamation with question mark. Now to remove this exclamation, I should know at what position is it present. It is present at -1 because ये last में है. So instead of counting from left hand side, I can directly use -1. So let's confirm once again whether it is present at -1 or not. So my sentence and -1, and yes, exclamation is present. Now what I want to do is I want to remove the exclamation with question mark. Now this can be easily done inside the list के अंदर आप ये सब चीज़ें कर सकते हो. So I'm going to now I'm going to replace my exclamation with question mark. So how I'm going to do it? Simple. I will use the indexing this time as well, -1, and I will put directly, because it is string, so I'm going to put like this. That's it. Instead of exclamation, it should overwrite exclamation with a question mark, and then I will try to print it again just to see whether my values are have been replaced or not. So let's try to run it, and what do you get? You get to see an error. What is the error? States the str object does not support item assignment. That means once you have assigned the value, string value, to a particular variable, the variable cannot be changed. मतलब value cannot be replaced. It simply means आप value को change नहीं कर सकते. You cannot assign another item. So we cannot assign another item. Let's see what exactly the question was. Are string mutable or immutable? Now the answer is strings are immutable. Strings are immutable, right? So this is the correct thing. Strings are immutable. Why? Because whenever we try to replace this thing, when you try to replace with a question mark, यहाँ पे लिखा है, देखो यहाँ पे लिखा है -1 पे question mark रखा हम लोग ने. So whenever we try to replace any particular value of a string object, we get the error. So this is the error that we are getting, and since it is an error, then we should paint it red like this. Type error. right? So strings are immutable. So if strings are immutable, then does the concatenation works? Because string famous होता है concatenation function के लिए. Concatenation means you can add any value to string. So let's see if this can be done or not. So yes. So let's try to take one example, and this time I'm going to use a simple example. You are great. And what I will try to do is this. How to concatenate it? I use concatenation operator. Concatenation operator means plus sign, right? So I'll write my sentence is equals to my sentence plus you're awesome. अब मुझे ये देखना है कि when I try to replace a particular value, जब मैंने यहाँ पे value replace करी, it wasn't done. But can I add completely another value to the pre-existing value? Concatenation means you are having some value and you are adding some more values. You are not changing the pre-existing values, but you are expanding the values by adding the new values. So if it is immutable, can concatenation work? So let's check, and then we need to print it again, right? So what I have done over here is I'm going to combine this value with this one, and then I'm going to use the same variable my sentence में ही फिर से रख देंगे, right? So let's try to see, and my sentence, okay, I have used a capital M, so that is my mistake. Basically it should be my sentence. Variable name should never have a capital letter in the starting. It is strictly it is highly prohibited. So see this, you are great, you are great, you are awesome. Now how this works, now previous वाला काम नहीं कर रहा है, but this one is working absolutely fine. How? Because when you are doing concatenation, what exactly you're doing, let me tell you. This is your original list of just a minute, let me select it first. So this is your original list, and when you are doing concatenation, you are actually adding some more, like this. Now this is very important concept, because इसी concept पे एक बहुत बड़ी चीज़ आगे है. So you need to be very precise and you need to understand it clearly, otherwise it won't work. The next part you are going to study, you won't be able to understand it. so and so on, right? So I cannot go till the end, so I'm going to write it over here. You are, and the next thing happens, right? So this is going to continue till the end, and you can assume यहाँ पे सारे के सारे pieces आ चुके हैं, like this. So what happens is this: when you try to do concatenation, the set of new objects are added to the first value and the indexing is given, right? So यहाँ पे indexing भी change हो जाएगा. So we need to see whether the indexing changes or not, because this is what we are trying to study today, dynamic indexing, right? So if dynamic indexing exists or not. So according to our new logic, if I try to access this one, exclamation, the second exclamation, it is present at 16. So one thing more, when always remember this, that when you try to run something like this, the right hand side of the equal sign is always processed, means ये left hand side को ignore करा जाएगा equal sign के, assignment sign के, then the left hand side will be processed first, and when you're working on the right hand side, which one will be processed first, this one or this one? The answer is this one. So whenever you're working on the right hand side of the assignment operator, the right hand side पे जो left वाला सबसे पहला होगा उसको पहले process कर जाएगा. Means if I ask you if the you are awesome is generated in the memory or whatever present in the my sentence is read first, the answer is my sentence is processed first. इसका मतलब ये है कि जो भी इसके अंदर रखा था उसको read करा गया. Whatever is kept inside my sentence, it is being read first. So that means instead of my sentence you are replacing it you are great. So यहाँ पे आ जाएगा you are great. Then this will be created. This is a new string. This will be created, and then the addition will take place. Then the concatenation will takes place, and once the everything is concatenated like this, जब ये इस तरीके से बन जाएगा memory में, like this, one big sentence, then what will happen? Then again my sentence variable के अंदर इसको रख दिया जाएगा, right? So then again my sentence के अंदर रख दिया जाएगा. Now something awesome is going to happen, right? So this will connect to this one. Now previously if you remember, previously it was connected to, I don't know whether you can see or not because बहुत ज़्यादा zoom out. Previously it was connected to this one. Now this is again a different set of objects, right? ये पुराना object set है, and फिर उसमें से रीड करा गया किसको, पुरानी वैल्यूज़ को यहाँ पे, then इसमें न्यू वैल्यू ऐड करी गई, then we have added some new values in it, and then the same variable is used to connect to the new set of objects, and this connection is broken now, right? So this is what happened exactly in the memory. So now the old connection is being broken. That means this set of object is lost. Originally this set of objects were copied, right? So this is one set of objects that are being copied over here. यहाँ पे copy करा गया. This is the copy of that object set objects. right? इसको यहाँ पे copy करा गया. Then to that copy new set of values are being added, and after that the same variable which was holding the previous value is now connected to the new set of object, and that is bigger in range, and the old connection will be broken. So this is what happened in the memory, and this is because of the left and right side. This is all because of the position that are present at which the variable and the values are present. So this is read first, then this is created, then both are added, right? This is concatenation done, then the bigger set of object, this is the big set of objects, is being connected to the old variable, and we are printing the old variable name with a new set of values. So this is how the concatenation happens. Now string is still immutable. String is immutable. Why? Because when you try to do the concatenation, the copy of the values are maintained. The original copy is the original set is discarded like this. When you do the concatenation, you are actually creating a copy first, right? You are creating the copy first, then you're adding the new values to that particular copy, then you are connecting the old variable to the new set of objects, right? So let's check whether we are having the correct copy or not. Let's try to print the exclamation at position 16, and then we will see whether we are able to get it right or not. According to, we need to prove our concept, whether our concept is correct or not, or it is wrong. So see this, the exclamation is getting printed. Now let's check the length of the my sentence. What is the total overall length of the my sentence? Because my sentence has been given a new set of objects. See this, the length has become 27. That means all new objects are being added. So always remember this, when you do the concatenation, you take the old copy and then you add a new objects, then you create a new set of objects like this, and then you assign the same variable the new set of objects. So this is how the concatenation works, and that is why strings are still immutable, because immutable means you cannot change any value. तो जब तक ये variable connected है किसी भी object से, you cannot change the object. So you need to take the copy out first, then you need to process that copy, then you assign the variable. Once you assign the variable, again you cannot change it. So that means now, since it has left its old link and started to do connection with the new set of objects, now you cannot change this. अब इसको आप change नहीं कर सकते, because it is connected to a variable, and this is a string variable. These are string objects. Now you have already created it, and whatever processing you do it at the time of creation. You cannot change it further. Let's try to confirm it. So now I'm going to do something like this. My sentence, and what was 16? At 16th position it was apostrophe. Now I'm going to replace apostrophe with at the rate. Let's try to do it, and you will get the same error. See this, everything was working till here. The moment I tried to change it, I get the error. Same error, the string object does not support item assignment. That means I cannot change any object value once it is assigned to a variable, if it is string. If it is not string, then it is fine. Okay, so this is how the string indexing happens. Now list is mutable. List is mutable, but string is immutable. Remember this. What is the basic difference between the string and the list? String is immutable while list is mutable. Okay, so when you try to consider indexing, both look same, but the difference is string can only hold the set of characters while list can hold anything, right? String का मतलब ये होता है set of characters, char, and when you try to work with the list, you can actually put anything inside the list, and we have already seen in the previous lecture that you can put anything and everything inside a list, and you can mix and match. You can put a string, you can put characters, you can put numbers, you can put anything, right? Float, floating point, sentence, character, whatever you feel like. So lists are capable of holding any kind of data, while string is only capable of holding character set A, B, C, D. That's it. You cannot put 1, 2, 3. Actually, you can put 1, 2, 3, but then too you cannot do the manipulation. If you want, you can put actually 1, but it will be treated as a individual character, you cannot do manipulation over it. But when you put anything inside the list, that means कि list की जो properties है, जो भी आपने उसके अंदर रखा हो, खोती नहीं list में. String में सारी properties खो जाती हैं, हर चीज़ character बन जाता है, simple. So if you put 1 and if you put 2 inside the string, you cannot do 1 plus 2 then, right? 1 plus 2 won't happen, it will be concatenated, it will become 12. But if you put 1 and 2 inside the list, you can actually do 1 plus 2. It will not lose its characteristics because list know that it is number, not alphabet. So yes, now what is the similarity between those? First of all, as per your syllabus, as per your concept, they have the similar indexing concepts. उन लोग indexing के तरीके same है. And when the indexing is same, you can actually do something called slicing, right? Slicing is something that we are going to study later on. And slicing means ये indexing से related होता है. So any manipulation that is that can be done with the indexing can be done on both string as well as list, right? So anything, any manipulation that can be done using indexing can be done on both, because both have same indexing concept. Now let's convert a string to list. Now this is important, string to list conversion. So again, I'm having the same sentence, you are great. Are you great? Right, yes, if you're great. So now I have again the same sentence, and that sentence is you are great again. Now what I'm going to do over here, I know there are some functions through which I can create list. Now generally अगर आपने देखा होगा तो there is an append function, right? And append function, by using the append function, I can actually pull out every individual character from the string. Then I can what I can do, I can append it to the list, right? Okay, so how to do it? Let's see. So this is the actual diagram in the memory, right? You are great is, आपको पता है कि string को कैसे treat करता Python. String already सारे characters को separate कर लेता है, right? So string has separated all the characters for you. Now this is not a sentence, but actually it is a combination of characters. So every character has what it has. It has indexing. So this is the actual diagram. Now what you can do, you can create a blank list, right? And you can create a blank list, then you can append each object to that list one by one by using a for loop, right? So whenever the for loop will run, it will take everything inside it into the target variable, and through target variable you can append it to the list. So how it's gonna look? It's gonna look like this: for x in my sentence. तो आपने एक set statement तैयार करा for x in my sentence. This is your target variable that is being named as x in my sentence. So you're going to process my sentence. So my sentence, what is my sentence? My sentence is this variable, and what it contains your values, right? So you're going to process all these values. So yep, like this. So what will happen at iteration when this particular loop will run? You know, when this loop runs, what it's going to take, it is going to pick individual value from the list or string, whatever you're feeding it, and then it is going to be stored in x, right? So for iteration 1, x में y आ जाएगा. For iteration 2, this y x में u आ जाएगा. For iteration 3, x में o के बाद u आ जाएगा. Then you have for iteration 4, apostrophe will come inside x. So how are you going to check whether I'm right or wrong? So this is my whole concept I have drawn on the whiteboard, that for every iteration every value will go inside this target variable x के अंदर एक करके वैल्यू जाएगी. नाउ लेट्स ट्राई टू चेक इट कि मैं सही बोल रहा है गलत. सो व्हाट आई कैन डू, I can implement the same for x in my sentence, and then I am just going to print it just to see that target variable x के अंदर value आती या नहीं आती सब. So print x, right? And let's try to run it and see this. You are great. U y o u apostrophe r e space g. So that means everything that we have put inside the string is coming inside the target variable. So if I can write one sentence like this, target variable is equals to like this. So let's try to run it. The target variable is equals to u, target variable is equals to y o u apostrophe r. So that means whatever you have put inside the string, you can do it. You can make it pass through target variable. Now what you're going to do, at whenever the target variable contains your value, for example u, आप तुरंत उसको append कर दो. किस में append कर दो? Next iteration चलने से पहले आप उसको append कर दो अपने list में. So like this. So whenever x is getting the value, you should do something like this, mylist.append, and append के अंदर जो आप pass करते हो वो list में जुड़ जाएगा. So you pass the x because at every iteration x is having some value. So let's try to do it. So mylist. Okay, so I haven't created a mylist over here. So let's try to create a blank list. So mylist is equals to, now this is how you create a blank list. So just to confirm it is blank, I am going to print it, print mylist, and see this. This is the sentence that is filled, and this is the list that is empty, and I'm going to append, right? So how I'm going to append? Now for के अंदर ही append लगा दो तो जितनी बार for चलेगा उतनी बार append भी हो जाएगा. So mylist dot append, and after append you just pass the x, because if you pass whatever you pass inside the append function, it is going to get stuck inside your list. So I know that my target variable is going to contain the correct value, so I will pass x, right? So let's try to do it, and in the end after appending I'll print the list again and see this if it works or not. And boom, what you get a list that is having the correct values. Now how are you going to verify that it is a list or not? Because मैंने आपको बताया था list contains the square bracket, opening square bracket, closing square bracket, and each value inside the list is comma separated. So now you can see that it is comma separated. Now this is funny, apostrophe is present inside double quotes, right? So just to avoid the confusion, what Python did, because Python is using single quotes, so I have given the single quotes as my value, so it has changed its single quote to double quotes. So if in the test if I give you, or if you get to see something like this कि output क्या होगा, तो your single quotes will be converted to double quotes because of the original single quote that is present as a value inside your list, right? So that is the reason the Python has done a smart move कि इसने अपने single quotes को double quotes में convert कर लिया. बाकी हर जगह सब सही चल रहा है देखो. And this is the white space again. The white space is also present inside the single quote that you cannot actually see. So yep, it is working absolutely fine. Now this is how you can convert your string to list. Is it the only way? Is it the only way? Now one thing more, this is the original way, this is the original process of sending each this thing value to list as an object. Now this is the code. Now this is the code, and it is the same thing जो मैंने अभी आपको दिखाया वो same है इसमें. Or what you can do, you can directly do it, right? You can directly do it. You can pass the function. एक list नाम का function ही है, उसमें आप जो pass करोगे वो list में convert हो जाएगा. So This is where the Python is famous for, because Python makes you learn zero. Python सब कुछ बना बनाया देता है आपको, तो आपको कुछ पढ़ने उड़ने की ज़रूरत नहीं पड़ती है. But then too I wanted you to know what is happening in the background. So that is the reason I personally prefer Java, because Java gives you more control over the code. The Python is good for automation, but yeah, then too when automation happens, you get to see no logic, right? अगर मैं सीधे convert कर देता function लिखे तो आपको पता नहीं चलता what is happening in the background. So now I am going to do the same thing. I am going to do the same thing by using a auto-generated automated function. So let's try to do it, and see this. I'm going to remove everything. Now this is my sentence, and this is my list. This is my sentence, and this is my list. Let's confirm that nothing is present in between. Yes, this is my sentence and this is my list. So now I'm going to use the auto-generated automated function that is present, that is given to me by Python. So my list is equals to, now list को किसी चीज़ में convert करना तो list नाम की function में भेज दो, simple. And whatever you pass inside the function will be converted to list. Sentence. So here it is, and now what I will do, I will try to print to confirm. See this, and boom, you're getting the same answer. So yeah, everything is happening in the very same manner. Now this is automated, this function is automated. That means it is doing the same thing, but you are actually you are doing it directly. Means somehow somewhere the logic of list is written, but it is being given to you by Python developers, so that your work becomes easy, right? So you can go with this kind of function, or you can go traditional style. You can build your logic by your own self, right? So this is how you convert say string to list. Okay, can you spot the difference between the two? Can you spot the difference between the two? Let's check. Let's check how the output looks. Of course we can spot the difference between the two. See how the string looks. String में जो value होती है वो combined दिखती है. There is no comma separation. But when you're talking about the list is having the comma separated values. Every value is comma separated, and then too you get to see a closing square bracket and opening square bracket. So opening and closing square brackets. So the answer becomes yes, 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 yes. There is a great difference between the output of those two values, right? So can you spot the difference? The answer is yes, we can spot the difference. Now see this, when I use this particular thing, I get to get the same output, right? ये same output मुझे यहाँ पे मिल रहा था, and यही output मुझे यहाँ पे मिल रहा था, ये सब करने के बाद यहाँ पे. So Python is known for automation. Now automation means the language is doing everything for you, so you don't have to beat yourself around. But that is actually bad thing for learners. So if you want to learn a heavy logic, right, if you want to have control over the code, then you should know what is happening in the background. Otherwise when things get out of hand, you won't be able to sort it out. So it's good to use automation if you already know what you're doing, right? If you don't know what you're doing, then you should experiment. So when you're experimenting, you should do this thing like this, traditional style. Okay, so now indexing. Now we will check the indexing changes or not. So far we have checked that indexing is automatically given, and then we have checked that negative indexing is already given to the string as well as to list. Now strings are immutable, lists are mutable, we know that already. And now we are going to see dynamic indexing in action. So we are going to do some damage to the list, and then we will see how the indexing changes, because once you change the element inside it, the indexing also changes, right? So this is done dynamically by the Python. You don't need to change any of the index, so it will be done automatically. So let's try to run some damaging code. Let's damage our list. So first of all, so this is actually a great way to make a list. right? So you don't need to write like this, बार बार comma लगाने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, right? So this takes a lot of time. Then you have to put everything inside double quotes, then you have to put double quotes as well. तो बहुत time taking होता है. So what you can do, you can create a string first and then you pass it inside the list function, and you have a variable on the left side, so everything will you convert it to list automatically. Okay, so this is a quickest way to create a list. So let's try to do some damaging to our list. So I will go save it with a new file, and so let's remove everything in between. This is useless now, this is also useless because we already know. Now this is okay. Now my list is empty, so can I do something like this? Without creating the empty list, can I create a new list? Let's check. And yes, so without creating the empty list first, I can create a list directly by using a list function. So my sentence में से सारे अल्फ़ाबेट को निकाला, उसकी लिस्ट बनाई और सीधे my list में डाल दिया. So that is fine. We can actually create it directly without creating the empty list first. But why the reason why I am showing the empty list? Because I needed to prove you that lists are again mutable. It can change. So now we are going to pop. We are going to do popping of the list, and you know what pop does? Pop removes the element according to the index number. So what happens when you don't give the index number? If you don't give the index number, the pop will run at -1. -1 means the last object. So I'm going to put pop function in for loop and I'm going to run it 4 times. That means ये 4 बार पीछे से elements को हटाएगा. So let's try to see. Let's try to see what happens. This particular diagram might get wrong because I haven't checked it. So I've created but I haven't checked it. So it's possible. It might throw you a wrong answer. So let's try to check it and then we will see. We will verify whether this diagram is right or not. So let's try to run pop for I in, and now we are going to pass list this time. So I'm passing the list, and so instead of passing the list, I can directly go for range function and I can run it for 4, right? So 4 times. So my list dot pop, and I'm not giving any index number. That means it is going to remove the last element. So 4 times it is going to remove. So let's try to print it every time just to verify कि जब ये बार बार हटाएगा तो हमारी लिस्ट दिखेगी कैसे. हर बार ये लिस्ट प्रिंट करके हमें दिखाएगा. So see this was the original list, and one pop happened, exclamation is gone. Another pop happened, T is gone. Another pop happened, A is gone. Another pop happened, E is gone. So in the end, after 4 pops happened, you are getting GR. That's it. You are GR. You are GR. You are GR. Yes. So are we getting the correct output? Yes. So we are getting the correct output according to the diagram as well, right? So we are getting the correct output. Now let's check how many elements we have now. So we need to verify everything. So print, and now as you know कि previously हमारे पास indexing कहाँ तक थी? 12 तक. Exclamation जब था हमारे पास, तो our indexing was going toward 12. Now we have removed some of the elements. Now the indexing goes towards 8. So that means 9 is also removed. So let's check whether indexing 9 is present or not. So let's try to ask for the 9th index value. Let's see, and see this. After the pop is being done, the moment I try to access the 9th index, it states me that it is out of range. That means the index 9 is removed. When the element is removed, the indexing is also removed, right? So indexing is dynamic. When the object is removed, indexing is also removed. So I confirmed. Now so अगर 9 नहीं है तो 10, 11, 12 तो obviously नहीं होगा, right? So now I'm going to run one more code. mylist.pop, and this time I'm going to give index number 1. So let's try to find index number 1, and according to the index number I think that this particular pop1 will going to target this thing, वो इसको target करेगा as per my knowledge, because index number 1 means this is gone. Pop1 means let's try to confirm it. Sorry, ये ऊपर वाली लिस्ट पे काम करेगा, right? यहाँ पे, okay, yes. So we have this one, and this will be gone afterwards. So when this will be gone, you will get the output like this. So let's confirm अभी जो है u पे. Now why I am doing something like this, because हमने अभी end से उसको हटाया था objects को. Now I'm going to remove from the starting, in between the list. So let's see if the indexing shifts or not, or this. Now what is the another scenario? Another scenario is that when we remove when we remove o, it should become blank, right? Because lists are capable of holding a blank space like this. So 6 is a blank space, lists are capable of holding a blank space. So I need to see whether when I pop o, it will become blank, or this particular object set will be, or this particular object will be removed completely. And if everything is removed completely, then this u apostrophe, everything will shift towards the left hand side, and the indexing will change like this, right? So everything will shift towards the left, and one index will be lost, 8, right? So previously r was standing at 8. Now after pop1, r will stand at 7, because every object is being shifted towards the left. So I need to confirm it. So what I can do, first of all, confirm that at index number 1 o is present. So let's try to print index number 1, and let's run it. Now I know that at index number 1 o is present. Now I'm going to pop it, mylist.pop, and 1 I'm going to pass. Then again I'm going to run it, and then I will see that the objects have shifted, and so is the indexing. See this, before popping anything out, 0 was present, and when I popped these things, they all got shifted towards the left hand side, and the indexing changed. So the last index is lost according to the diagram. As you can see and compare, just have a great look at it. You can see that one index is lost because I have removed o, so everything got shifted towards the left, and so the indexing is changed for every element. So this is being done automatically, right? So I popped index 1, so this is gone, and everything is, now we are stuck with this one. Now instead of using pop, I'm going to remove apostrophe. So remove function, what it does, it takes the element, it searches for the element, it doesn't take the index number, it searches for the element. So I have directly passed apostrophe, that go search the apostrophe and remove it. So this remove function, what it will do, it will search it one by one. So first is going to search it this here, then over here, then over here. The moment it gets it, it is going to remove it, right? So remove takes a lot of time compared to pop, because pop is done indexing wise, but remove searches for the element. So both can come handy, it depends upon your usage, right? So let's try to do it. So I will try to see if we do removing, whether it will become blank space or this particular object is gone forever. So let's try to run it. So my list dot remove, and then I'll pass apostrophe, and then I will print the list as well. I will try to print the complete list just to see if the object, that particular element, is gone or not. And see over here, apostrophe was present over here and it's gone now. After u, you're getting r over here, u and r. So I have reduced the list further. I have removed further elements. So apostrophe is gone. Now there is blank space. Now blank space is also present. So what should I do? So I will, first of all, now I'm going to do something else. Now I'm going to use pop and another function that we have learned previously. Extend my list, extend. This time extend, what extend does, it takes another list and it can, this is not append, this is extend. Extend means it takes the another list and it combines it on the end of the previous one, right? तो जैसे concatenation होता है कि whatever you give to concatenation, it adds it in the end. So this is what the extend does. Extend takes everything in the form of list. How are you going, how to confirm? See this. You see opening bracket and closing bracket. That means whatever this function is going to remove, this is the first function, this is the second function, whatever these functions are going to give you, it will going to give you some value, and those values will come inside the square bracket, right? And this is comma separated. So look over here. So you spotted everything that is required for the list. So you have one value, then you have comma, then you have another value, then you have opening square bracket and closing square bracket. So before processing the extend, we need to process these first, because these will give us a value, and according to that value we will get the extend. So now the question arises, you have two functions, pop3, pop0, which one will be done first? Now pop3 will be done first, right? Because again you have two functions, left and right, so left will execute first. So that is why I've written 1 over here, right? So pop3, what the pop3 is going to give you? Pop3 is going to give you 3. Obviously pop3 क्या करेगा, 3 को उठा के अपने पास रख लेगा. So once this is processed, the moment this particular function is processed, you will get 3, right? Pop3. So sorry, not 3, E, right? So the moment this is processed, pop index number 3, this means pop index number 3 means E. So it will replace this, the Python will replace this function with the solution that is E. Now the second one, pop0. So let's try to check. Pop0 is Y. So the moment pop0 is done, this particular set will be removed by E and Y. So now according to the format, you have square bracket opening, square bracket closing, and a comma, and E and Y, right? So let's check if this is going to extend it to our list or not. So the moment you put a pop, it will be pulled out from the list. ये निकाल दिया जाएगा E और Y कुछ देर के लिए, और निकालने के बाद extend की वजह से इसको end में जोड़ दिया जाएगा, right? यहाँ पे. So let's try to do it, and then we can see if it is working or not. So my list dot extend. So this is a function, that means this thing, braces, then it expects what? List, so square bracket, and we are going to put two values. So what I can do, I can directly write something like this, E and Y, then to it is going to work. But if I do something like this, then E and Y will be multiplied. So instead of extending E and Y from user, I will take the E and Y from the list, and then I will try to append it into the list. So I'm taking from the list and going to extend it into the list again. So let's try to do it. So my list dot pop, and what was the index number? 3, I guess, and instead of Y I'm going to write like my list dot pop, and this time I'm going to 0, and then after processing it I'm going to print my list again just to see what happened. Oh great, it is working absolutely fine. So यहाँ से E उठाया गया, उसको अपने पास रखा गया, Y उठाया गया, उसको अपने पास रखा गया, एंड आपको पता है कि किस ऑर्डर में उठाया गया? ऑर्डर ये था, 3 पहले उठाया गया तो E पहले आया, 0 बाद में उठाया गया तो Y बाद में आया, और इसी ऑर्डर में अपेंड कर दिया गया. सो दैट इज द रीजन यू आर गेटिंग टू सी 3 over here, because it will be appended, or it will be extended first and then Y over here. अगर मैं इसको ऐसे लिख दूँ, if I write 0 and 3 over here, then order will be Y and E. So I'm popping the correct order because I need to make a English sentence, right? So I have popped and at the same time I have extended. So I wanted to create gray, G-R-E-Y. So I need to remove the 3 elements as well. So how to remove those 3 elements? This time I'm going to use the pop function, but I'm going to give pop index 0, right? So what will happen? Let's have a look. So for I in range, because I need to remove 3 elements, so I'm going to put the range as 3, and then I can write like this. Now let's dot pop 0. Now 0 means every time I'm going to remove what? The first index. That's it. Every time I'm going to remove the first index. So at every iteration the first element will be gone. So after iteration 1, so let's try to do pop 0. Pop 0 सबसे पहले जाएगा, u को सर्च करेगा, और जब u हटा देगा तो everything will shift towards the left. And see over here, when the pop runs, your indexing will reduced, right? So from 1, this element will be gone completely, so everything will shift towards the left, and r will get 0 index. So r will get 0 index from 1, right? So instead of having 1, it will get 0 because everything will shift towards the left, as the leftmost element is being removed because of the pop 0, right? So let's try to do it. And so I will try to print it as well. So can I print it at the same time? See this, U, R and white space. So that means in the first iteration U was sitting at the 0 position, so it got popped. In the second iteration R was sitting at 0 position, so R got popped. And in the third iteration white space was sitting in the this thing here, 0 index. See this, right? So after every iteration the objects are being shifted towards the left. So that is why I am just writing pop 0, because I know that the things are going to shift left, 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 and I can remove by popping 0 every time. So at the end, when this thing is done till here everything will be done. Now once you print the list, the final list, and you get the final as gray. So this is how you can do it. Now as you can see, I have told you already that the list is mutable, right? You can modify the list. So as you can see that here I am having a capital Y. So can I make it a small y, lowercase? And the answer is yes. So after doing all the manipulation, everything, I'm going to replace my list. And then at what index is it standing? Let's check. It is standing at 0, 1, 2 and 3. So diagram में check कर लेते हैं. 0, 1, 2 and 3. So I'm going to remove and replace it with minus as lowercase y is equals to lowercase y, and then I will try to print the list again. So let's try to run and see. Invalid syntax. Okay, I haven't given the index number, so that is why it is giving me some error. So index was 3. Let's confirm it once again from the diagram. Yes, the answer is 3. So and see this, GREY with capital Y, GREY with small y. So lists are mutable and strings are not. So this is how the dynamic indexing takes place, and this is how the element shift and the indexing changes accordingly. So I hope you have understood everything that I've tried to teach you today, and that's it for today, and thank you guys.